ThatGreatBusinessShow.com is brought to you by De Facto Shaving Oil, the best anyone can get. Made in Ireland, sold worldwide.
Welcome to episode 59 of That Great Business Show, posting on the 22nd of October 2021. I am Conal O'Moran. This week we have a bit of a sports theme as we have two sports-related businesses, but we'll also tell you why there's no time like the present to consider your future, particularly as it appears so many are, post-COVID, reconsidering what they want to do in their work life. We'll tell you about some top courses that might help or inform those decisions. We have a business that has been through the ringer to get its GAA board game onto the shelves in time for this Christmas, and it is my hugest privilege to welcome a national icon, rugby legend Peter Stringer, to That Great Business Show. He's retired from rugby now, so we're strictly business with Peter. And by the way, if you haven't yet listened to Jason Lynch of Equal One on episode 58, please do. I think his company's story is quite simply incredible, because if all of their plans turn out right, their laptop quantum computer designed right here in Ireland could literally change the world. And don't forget the Big Red Cloud are giving away free stuff as well, including a free Android tablet to Team GBS members. That's you, our listeners. So do listen back to Mark O'Dwyer and Catherine Lockhart also on that episode 58. And as always, we wish to thank our wonderful sponsor, De Facto Shaving Oil, makers of the world's best shaving oil. Their support brings you the best business stories and insights every week. And now that we're traveling again, their 25ml bottle of all-natural shaving oil is your ideal travel companion. Shipping is totally free for orders over €20.
That Great Business Show.
Now, even people who have never watched a game of rugby in their lives probably could identify Peter Stringer. He's that kind of iconic figure. On and off the pitch, he always looked busy and always looked like he meant business. And that was when he was playing rugby. He's now looking busy because he's launched not one, but two different businesses, both of them sports-related, naturally enough. But most importantly, I'm delighted to say that he's joining Team GBS right now to have a longish chat, not just about the new business, as we will, of course, get to that, but I'd like to know more about the business of being a pro athlete and all that goes with it. Peter Stringer, welcome to That Great Business Show.
Thank you very much indeed. Great to be here.
Peter, where did it all go wrong? You could have been a chemist.
Oh, I tell you what, rugby saved me. It absolutely saved me. So I did obviously chemistry in secondary school. Enjoyed the physical the experiments that you'd undertake.
What, the big bangs or something?
Yeah,
or
plenty of those kind of, the Bunsen burners and all sorts of making potions and all sorts. And got to university and was expecting much the same. And yes, you did have the practical element, but you also had 12 subjects of learning different types of chemistry, which was a bit of an ordeal, to be honest. So when an offer of a rugby contract came up after year two, I snapped it with two hands.
Which neatly brings me to something that I often wonder about. I've got a lovely friend called Frank Dillon. You won't know him, but he's an old pal of mine. And he is a huge sports fan. And he loves sports people and all the rest. But he does query, and he's queried with me, is why is it that we expect sports athletes, super sports athletes like you, like you're 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of many others, why do we expect you to know or to guide people in business?
That's a funny one, because as a sports person, you come out of that elite sports environment, and a lot of guys struggle with that transition because you're in a bubble, you're in that environment. For me, I was in it for 20 years, and you feel it takes you a while to realize that the qualities, the values that you've learned along the way can be applicable to the business world in terms of leadership, organization, scheduling, that kind of motivation aspect, kind of dealing with pressure, all of those things. It takes us a while.
But let me cut across you. Two things that you mentioned there is, say, about your scheduling and stuff like that. Like you, because you are a super athlete, you're different to us anyway. I'm never, ever going to be like you. So I've given up a long time ago. That's ever a hen, ever a doe is, just on something like scheduling, is you are, when I say you, one is, you run two, you have to train, turn up for a game, train, turn up for a game, eat the right food, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't really apply to the big, you're going to learn all of this in the next couple of months, I would say, not even years. Invoicing, HR issues, finding staff, all of the things that we'll talk about your businesses in a second. But, and again, it's not peculiar to you. I'm just thinking in general is that many people of the elite athletes come out, and I do wonder, do question, just like Frank Dillon, who do you really know about business?
Well, we'll wait and see, won't we?
I know you're going to set up your business.
No, absolutely. I retired 3 years ago, and I've been working hard, and I wanted to find a business. So I've had a job that I've loved for 20 years, and I wanted to go into something that I am passionate about, that I get up every single morning, that motivates me to work. I don't want to be sitting at a desk and just picking up a paycheck, regardless of the size of it, every single month. I want to do something, and I've had to learn. It's absolutely, the last 3 years have been about learning. I've had a company for the last number of years in terms of dealing with different companies and businesses and endorsement deals and product, I suppose, sponsorship, all those kind of things have kind of, I suppose, teed me up for a scenario like this. I've got a couple of good business partners who are in the gym with me. One's a kind of a guy who's been in business for the last 20 years. So I'm kind of on the sporting side. So I'll learn from him in those kind of moments. We're interviewing people from a staff point of view at the moment. Are you
finding it that difficult to find people?
Well, it's tough to find the right people. Yeah. And I think for us in the new gym with the F45 business, it's about finding the right people. I think there are plenty of PTs out there. There are plenty of salespeople. But it's these people.
Personal trainer, you get fined every time that you use any acronyms in this show. So that'll cost you $20 already. Okay, personal trainers. But that is the problem. I mean, everybody's finding this issue, finding the right people.
It is. And we're, with the F45 model, it's nearly finding the right person first and then being able to maybe upskill them to become a personal trainer. That's what you want to find. You want to find that person who's energetic, who can sell the business, because they will be front of house when somebody walks through the door to inquire about this business and how they are to join. So for us, it's about those people, that personality, that welcoming personality, the person who is knowledgeable on the business as well. So, and who's got a vested interest in making sure that it succeeds. So finding those right people, it's pretty difficult, as we're finding at the moment, but we've got a few interviews lined up. We've had a few and got a couple of people in place already, which is good. You
better explain what F45 is.
So F45, it basically is a franchise gym set up in Australia probably 5 or 6 years ago. And there are probably 6, I think, in Dublin. This is the first franchise. We've got the franchise for Cork City. So it's the first franchise outside of Dublin in Ireland that's going to be set up, which is very exciting. It stands for a functional 45-minute workout. So functional, all the movements they're done to replicate everyday movements. So to help people getting in out of their car, just lifting shopping bags out of the car. So basically, it's a circuit-based class where people will come in. There'll be roughly 30 people based in a class. 2 trainers will go around. It's a group environment, but they'll get that kind of personal training kind of treatment from the coaches, making sure form and technique is on point. So you've got that. You've got strength days. You've got cardio days. Something for everybody. All ages can partake. There's different weights at each station, regardless if you're beginner, advanced, you do what you can do. And it's just that community aspect that we're really thriving on.
I'm laughing when you're talking there because there's something I read about you. You don't even sit at a desk, do you?
No, I have a desk at home, which I stand at. I have a standing desk.
That's what I read. I read that about you. And you're also saying about, people who might go to the gym. But you don't ever leave the gym, do you?
I do.
You're at 6 a.m. You're in the gym, aren't you?
Well, I get it done. And you know what?
But you've got 2 kids. You've got a wife.
Well, they're still asleep. Hopefully, at that stage. So I get my work done. I feel better about myself. I can carry on with my day. If I don't get that done, it just weighs on me. It's my outlet to relieve that little bit of stress for me. And I think I'm just a better person to be around. Once I get that session in, I can focus on the rest of my day. I can give time to my kids and be at home and help out at home when I have a little bit of a break.
Do you think people like me are very sad? I wouldn't even describe the inside of a gym.
Sitting inside in a little box like this.
So that's only one of your businesses. That's F45 with your 2 business partners, if I remember correctly. And then you have your solo one, which is called?
It's called BodyPlan by Peter Stringer. And it's something that's This has evolved over, I suppose, a couple of years again since I finished playing. Look, I have a passion for fitness and nutrition. That's what keeps me going.
Where did that come from? You started 5.
I started,
think you said
yeah,
5.
5 or 6. I started up in Cork as a youngster. My dad brought me up playing rugby, and you know what? I had it in me to keep going because I was put down a lot. Look, like everyone gets a little bit of a raw deal when they're younger, a little bit of a few comments here and there, and I suppose I was slagged over my height. I
love the way you dealt with that. You have a comment or somewhere about ankles.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, that is applicable to business. Please explain about you and ankles.
Me and ankles. Okay, where do I start? So basically, as a youngster, you learn how to tackle like everybody else, and people write you off and they say you can't do something because you're small and you'll never make it. And for me, that had just it hit me. It hit me, and I wanted to really prove people wrong. I think when you play with a chip on your shoulder and someone tells you can't do something, the first thing you want to do is go and do it. So I learned how to tackle like everybody else. And, you see people try to tackle. So the game of rugby is a funny game because it's suited for all shapes and sizes. So for me, I'm 5'7". I play against guys
5'7.5".
5'7.5". Yeah.
Because I bet you the half was very important.
It's very important. And I always, I've played against guys who are 6'10", and if you look
Mr.
at that,
Toner.
yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, if you look at that bigger picture, if you look at that 6'10" in its entirety, it's daunting. Someone running straight down you. These guys have no intention of sidestepping you. They see a small guy. They carry the ball under one arm. There's only one way they're going. Even if they're off course a little bit from you, they will go towards you because they know they're going to try and speed bump you, run over the top of you and continue. So for me, you don't look at that bigger picture. You look at you narrow it down, you decompartmentalize it, you look at those little bits. And the one thing, you look at someone's ankles, you think of 6'10" or 5'6.5", 7, whatever it is. Someone's ankles, if you wrap your arms around their ankles, they're going to come down. So someone of the big height or the small height, they've got roughly the same size ankles. So I think I've always had that focus. My eyesight is focused on their ankles. You go for that. You wrap their legs together. No matter how big they are, they're going to come down if you take them.
My late mother, who was a massive rugby fan, would have absolutely agreed with you. She always said, go low.
Go low. And I think really, if I went high on anybody, look, it's science, really, because there's only one winner.
Back to the job that you had for 20 years, because I'm interested in this, in the day-to-day. What did you do? I know we had, when we set this podcast up, I had Jamie here, but I never actually got to the essence of what is the working day for a pro athlete at the very highest level, as you did.
As I did, probably, I suppose what's outlined for everybody is, you meet in your local club, wherever you are, wherever you're playing at maybe 8 a.m. Okay, would
you start that early?
Yeah, you would. You've got your schedule from on a Sunday. You get it through for the week, so you know your meeting times. You know what to wear, your different outfits. You got your nutrition, so you got a nutritionist on board. Some clubs that I've been at, you've got your meals provided for you. You've got your breakfast, you got your lunch, and then you got your food after your training provided for you. So that's taken care of. And you don't really have to think and worry about that. And that's what they want. They want your focus to be on your training, to be on the game at the weekend. So when you go into that environment, everything is pretty much done for you. You just have to do the hard work when it comes to it. So you go in at 8 and your day probably finishes at 2 o'clock with kind of meetings, a weight session, a rugby session, and then the schedule says go home, rest up. So again, it varies. So I would always, I suppose, pride myself on the fact that I wanted to be that 24-hour athlete, not that 6-hour athlete within the club environment. And that's the difference I feel, because you can be told to do something as a professional athlete. You can tick all those boxes that a coach tells you, but it's the extra things that you do will make the difference. For me, I'd finish my session. I'd go to the swimming pool. If I wasn't playing at the weekend, I'd do some extras after training. I'd go to the gym later on. I might go for a bit more of a run.
You're making me very tired.
But you know what? This was my job. This was my livelihood.
That, yeah. And I think that there was something in that, because I read that about you, this thing about that you were the 24-hour athlete.
Yeah, and I really, in the last probably 7 or 8 years, I took hold of that, and I had it right throughout my career, but it took the setback of falling back to probably 4th choice in my position at Munster to move away to the UK, to really go, do you know what? People have written me off. People have told me I should retire. There are no opportunities for me to play in Ireland, this is what I've been told. But I want to keep playing. I'm hitting all my markers and the fitness scores. I still have that motivation to play. I still feel good. No injuries. I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to make sure that I do everything in my power that I can keep going as long as I can, and that I finish on my terms, because I'm someone, I live with regrets. And if I didn't do that, I know I'd look back on my career thinking I could have done a little bit more.
Explain again about that regret one. That my ears picked up on that one.
Yeah,
live with your regrets.
I would live with regrets if there's something that I don't commit to 100%.
Yeah.
If anything I do, I would.
Okay, well, did you do anything? You don't have to go through it in any detail, but have you done things that you regret?
Nothing springs to mind.
Yeah, okay, so you've just never done it. I'm telling you, I know, and everybody else knows, you are exceptional. That's why I keep thinking, And
I think it is pretty unique. I think, even talking to teammates, there'd be very few who would have taken things to the level I would have gone to, even in
Did they think that you were odd?
Maybe they did. They didn't tell me to my face. Okay. They knew I was always a little bit different. But in terms of even 4 weeks off in our off season that we would get, where guys would go to relax, look, there would be an element of relaxing. I'd love to go away to the sun, but I just couldn't. The fact that I would know I had fitness testing in 4 weeks' time, I would just had to train twice a day. I would eat well. I would make sure that I arrived on day one of that pre-season training in the best possible shape that I could be in. Whereas guys would arrive back in and then use the pre-season to get into shape. I always, in my mind, I had to be ready for those kind of moments, and just my mind wouldn't have allowed me to take a step back or take a little bit of a foot off the gas. You
better explain a little bit more, because this is relevant to what you've just said about BodyPlan. You're hoping to find people who will sign up to you. They have to adopt your way of thinking or your way of doing things, I'm hearing.
They do, in terms of wanting to work and wanting to work hard. I've no problem, and I suppose in working with people, no matter what their level is, where they're coming from, I suppose I would have always thought when I finished playing that I might have struggled to work with people who were below that elite athlete status. But I've worked with a lot of people from every walk of life, and not necessarily a sports background, who have struggled to get, I suppose, fit training into a busy schedule, get that work-life balance. For me, it's about seeing change in people and seeing little bits of progression. I just want to work with people who are really committed to something and want to achieve that kind of change going forward in their lives, change of lifestyle. This isn't kind of a quick stop and a quick buck to make. It's about sticking with people, making sure that they're educated in terms of their nutrition, in terms of their training, and not just giving them a program and forgetting about them. It's something that that I'm passionate about, passing on the information that I've learned from the top S&C coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, and the top nutritionists, just that I've taken on board, and I've kind of lived by their words and being that kind of living example. So
you better get the ad out for this, because your ideal candidate for the BodyPlan part of your business, or the BodyPlan business, you would love serious executives, I think, if I read it correctly, that you would take under your wing, a handful of them, that you would just do it the Peter Stringer way.
Do the Peter Stringer way, absolutely. And someone who genuinely wants to change and wants to implement a training and nutrition schedule into their lives, because I think we talked about it earlier, that scheduling for me, people more often than not who lead busy lives, they say they might go to the gym after work, and I found in my time that rarely happens. When you leave something up there in the clouds and the kind of a floating idea, you rarely are accountable for it. Whereas for me, I sit down on a Sunday evening, I have my schedule for the week. So whether it's business meetings or whether it's having to be on site in the gym, making sure things are going well, I will factor in my training session. So it's written down. I become accountable for it. And if I shy away from that, then you've got the regrets attached to that. So it becomes important. It becomes as important for my well-being, for my family's well-being, that I'm a better person to be around, that I get those sessions done in and around those business meetings. And it's just helping people to understand that if something's important to you, you will make time for it and schedule it in your lives. So
paint me the perfect candidate who should be ringing you up.
There is no perfect candidate. The perfect candidate is someone who genuinely wants to work hard and is willing to commit to this and to learn. I suppose I've a lot of friends who I've played with for 15, 20 years who've come out the other side of professional sport and do not understand how to cook for themselves. They do not understand the nutritional values attached to food. I do cook. I wouldn't be an extraordinary cook at all. I probably have 5 or 6 meals that I would go to. Food and meals I don't get bored of eating the same things. I'm thinking of the numbers. I'm thinking of the protein content. For me, it's about that nutritional value.
Tired.
No, I love it. Do
you ever relax? Now you're going to tell me you are relaxed, but I mean,
this is me relaxed.
Yeah.
When you're doing,
you and I are from two ends of a stick.
When you're doing something you love doing, it doesn't feel like work. And I genuinely, this is what has got me to playing till I was 40 years of age and finishing in better shape, in better physical condition, stronger than I entered the game 20 years previous. So it's proven, it works. Once you get that mindset right, and to work with people who want to change their lives and want to implement, I suppose, a new way of a lifestyle. It's not like I said, it's not a quick fix for these people. You want to help people so that they can do this for themselves and that they know what they're eating, they know how to train.
Now, this is a business program, and we go into the grubby area of money. How much would this cost?
It varies. Look, prices start.
If somebody is the one I'm really interested in, not that I'm thinking of taking it up.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to go back to the, your senior executive that you're going to take under the wing, the seriously hands-on end of the business.
Yeah, look, there are plenty of options. It's really done on an individual basis. You look the website, peterstringer.ie.
Which reminds me, I'm sorry to cut across, that is a gorgeous website. And it's a shout out to, is it iZest or somebody who made it?
iZest, yes. And
my homework?
Chapter down in Cork also did a bit of the design.
Really lovely
it's
design.
Really good.
It's
really
very
good.
easy to navigate. And so a shout out to them. Really good.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Not
I interrupted.
Not at all. So on the website, peterstringer.ie, everything is there in terms of application forms. The pricing will start at $695. So then I will have conversations with people after they fill out longer questionnaires, just getting an idea. There are various options in terms of in-person training, Zoom training sessions, or remote sessions where they just get delivered a program, and there will be kind of weekly check-ins with me, Zoom conversations. So again, it's a lengthy process to find the right individuals. For me, it's about getting the right people. I think, I don't want to work with people who go into something half-hearted. That is just not my way, because I think they become frustrated, I become frustrated. So, prices start there. It goes then from a conversation very much tailored to the individual and what they want to do.
You snuck out the 695. Is that a week, a month, a year?
A month, yeah. It starts at 695 a month.
Okay. Now, one of the problems for you is to expand, because obviously you are a driven individual. And if you are successful, and I think that you probably will be successful, is how do you expand into the whole Peter Stringer brand, and where else can you go with it?
Yeah, look, that's the thing. It's about developing a team as well. I've a lot of close guys who are in that kind of business with terms of my S&C strength and conditioning coaches.
60.
There we go again. I've got to get used to this business world, and nutritionists and getting a team on board. And look, ultimately, I wanted to have that kind of personal touch, and I wanted to have that real hands-on, one-on-one. And look, there are only a certain number of people that I can deal with on a daily basis because of my time.
That's what I would have thought. And they actually want you.
And they
not
want
a team.
me.
Not a team member.
Yeah. And that's it. And that's the thing. And I suppose whether I cut back in terms of my involvement, and whether it's, fewer kind of Zoom meetings, fewer in-person meetings, it might be a case of delivering programs, analysing kind of what people really need, and being able to broaden that then for, I suppose, a bit more of a mass market. But at the moment, starting out, I wanted to create that kind of personal touch, because there are so many things out there I fully understand in terms of businesses where someone applies for a 12-week weight loss program for argument's sake, and someone gives them a cookie cutter type program that suits everyone. And I didn't want to have that approach coming from where I was. It just wouldn't sit well with me. But again, look, there are avenues there to certainly apply my knowledge to be able to kind of, I suppose, create a little bit more of a kind of a broader sphere rather than working one-on-one with people. But for me, it's about starting this initially. The F45 gym as well is something that's gone in the background as well. So.
And you have one franchise there in the Elysian building down in Central Cork, and you must have bigger ambitions than that. As you said, there are, what is it, 5 or 10? If there are 5 in Dublin, they're going to build it to 10.
I think there are 6 at the moment, as far as I know. Yes, anyway. They have plans, but it's a great model. It's something, look, we'll definitely look at going again once this one is up and running.
When does it open, or is it open already?
No, it's not open yet. So it'll be December at some point. Again, their works are going on in the Elysian at the moment to convert. It was an office block, it was an office unit, and it's being converted into the gym. So it's that'll be another few weeks. So it'll be December before we kind of start rolling out those free trials for people to try and get in, see what it's like. Absolutely. You must come down and give it a go. We'll convert you yet. I
am told by somebody who has used the F45 in Dublin that it is really, really nice and really good.
Yeah, this will be a great unit. It's a 3,500 square foot unit. It'll be high ceilings, spacious, and it'll be a brilliant unit. And I think at the time where we're coming out of COVID and people just want to get back into that, meeting people again in this environment. This is what F45 is built on, that community spirit, people meeting up to go to the gym. And it's just something that it seems to be the new pub. People want to get fitter, they want to get healthier. And this is a quick 45-minute workout. And it is just, I've done a few in Dublin, and it really is top class. It's something that I'm really excited about.
I think that's something that you're taught as an athlete is ideation. Are you familiar with that? When you see do you ever see Johnny Sexton when he's kicking the ball, is that, the way that he looks over and back and forth, that he can actually visualize it. And I'm sure that you do that visualization as to where you want to be. So you are now joining Team GBS, so welcome aboard. Where will you be, say, 2, 3, 4 years ahead? You're obviously starting out, but I'm hearing big plans.
Yeah, big plans, and it's exciting because I suppose the last 2 or 3 years was very much putting all of this together, seeing where I wanted to be. I didn't want to rush into anything when I finished playing. I think there is that fear. There's a fear factor attached to everything I've ever done in my life. There's an element of fear, and I think you need it. You need it to drive you. You need it to spur you on. You had it going on the field, a fear of, I suppose, letting people down, a fear of failure, and it brings the best out in you. And I suppose the next few years is about building this F45 business as well. It's hopefully getting more franchises in place around the place because it's proven to be a successful model, and we just got to get the right people in place. BodyPlan again, I want to work with people. I want to have good referrals. I don't want to, leave people in the lurch. I want to do it properly. So it's I'm very excited about it. I've a lot of the rugby stuff as well with RT as well that I'm doing the punditry for the next couple of years. So that keeps the rugby side going.
You've got actually a long-term contract there.
There's a couple of years, so I have there as well, which is brilliant, and I love it. I love analysing the game as well.
And does it not drive you mad that you're not on the pitch?
You'd love to be out there for the big days when you're pitch side on those Ireland versus the All Blacks. That's where you want to be. You don't miss the muddy, cold winter mornings on a Monday morning. They're things you can certainly let go.
Here is a random question that I actually meant to ask Jamie Heaslip this, and I meant to ask others this, and I've never actually thought of doing so. The man of the match, obviously, is a huge award. Does
player of the match, as it's now called?
Oh, sorry, of course, correct. I am corrected. I owe €20 now. Player of the match, even though it might be a man.
Absolutely.
is obviously it's a great accolade. I often wonder, do you get paid extra? Do you get a bonus or something for being player of the match?
No, you don't. You sometimes get a very ugly medal over your head, which probably is stuck to the bottom of your gear.
So have you got loads and loads of these things on your desk somewhere?
I have a few. Yeah, I have a few, and one of the ones was I suppose that stands out is the Heineken Cup final in 2006. I got a lovely little bit of Waterford Crystal for that one. Actually, it was a nice.
That was special.
That was a special one. Yeah, that wasn't your little cheap medal purchase from your local trophy shop down the road. It was a special
I'm
one.
disappointed now. I always thought that the fellas wanted to be man of the match because I might have added a couple of thousand quid to their back pocket after the match.
My fellas playing a little bit better if there was, wasn't it?
But there's an idea. Now, you know the rules. One of the things that you have to answer is, who would you hire in a heartbeat? I hope you were told about this. Were you told about this? He's actually nodding, saying no, but you're meant to know this because you're not the only one who's ever not known. Is there somebody, man, woman, child, that you might hire for your team in a heartbeat? Somebody that you've come across over the years, you said, I'd love to work. For example, I don't know what your relationship is with Donncha O'Callaghan, but I read enough to see he's your bestie kind of thing, is he? Or?
Yeah, he would have had a similar mentality to me playing, I suppose, in terms, he's a non-drinker, he'd have that professional attitude on a daily basis. He can act the clown at times, but don't be fooled. He's
Big Gardener, isn't he?
No.
I was told.
Wrong guy.
Oh, maybe it's Peter O'Mahony is the gardener.
Yeah, Donncha wouldn't know the front garden from the back garden.
So would you hire him in a heartbeat?
I would hire him in a specific role of a motivator in the gym, but not to run my business. I think.
Okay.
Donncha is one of my best friends, and what a character. But to have him around the place in a daily environment would be pretty special. Yeah.
Okay, well that's your answer. Well, listen, Peter, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show, and I won't say continued success because you're only starting out now, but I think you're going to be hugely successful. I don't want to sound patronising or anything, but in the way that you're up here, I've seen a few people in business, and over the years, I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to work fabulously. If there's anything at all Team GBS can do for you, for example, when you are expanding F45 across Europe, across Europe maybe, but across Cork or into Munster, the rest of Munster, maybe we can help fund it, because people pick up the phone and they say, can I have a chat with that fella, because I could be a part of it.
Brilliant. Very good. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
No.
Great Business Show.
Everyday accounting can be a bit of a drama for SMEs. However, BigRedCloud.com takes the drama away with its simple and easy to use cloud-based accounting and payroll software designed for SME owners. Raise and send invoices, manage VAT reports and obligations, run management reports, link directly to Irish banks, automatically import purchase invoices, and so much more. All with 5-star customer support. BigRedCloud.com, 100% Irish owned and a proud member of Team GBS.
Make one small switch. Switching from shaving foam to all natural de facto shaving oil will give you the smoothest, softest shave ever. Switching from shaving oil to de facto helps stop 20 million non-recyclable shaving foam cans go to landfills every year. Switching from shaving oil to de facto will save your skin, your pocket, and your planet. defactoshave.com.
And we want to hear from you, so please do follow our LinkedIn page, and anyone at all can have a chat with us there. It's where we're now sourcing many of the great companies we feature on That Great Business Show. In the US, some of you may know, COVID-19 has led to what has been dubbed the Great Resignation. Millions of people, from frontline workers to senior executives, voluntarily calling time on their jobs. According to a recent research by Microsoft, more than 40% of the global workforce are considering leaving their employers this year. Now, I am not totally convinced by this, as there's a big difference between considering something and doing something. However, I have been known to be wrong in the past, so just in case, we have called in a heavy hitter to give us some guidance on what to do if you are considering your business or work future. Ken Finnegan is CEO of TCD Tangent, Trinity College Dublin's Ideas Workspace. Welcome to That Great Business Show, Ken Finnegan.
Thank you very much. Great to be here, and thanks for the invitation.
You're very welcome. Now tell me this, do you believe that 40% of the global workforce, in other words, it must be billions of people, are considering leaving their employers this year?
I'd find it reluctant to kind of believe that. However, there's an interesting stat around the average amount of time people are staying in jobs at the moment is 4.5 years. So it's kind of interesting. It's people do change jobs more regularly if you want, and it's becoming a more kind of the idea of a job for life is definitely something of the past. So there's something in it. I don't know if 40% would be the kind of an accurate number, let's say.
I'm going to have to dig deeper into that to see exactly where that's coming from. However, the good news is that you, as in TCD Tangent, is ahead of the curve, as usual, and you're doing something about this.
Absolutely. So maybe I'll introduce Tangent from the top. So Tangent is the innovation and entrepreneurial hub based in Trinity College Dublin. We're 3 years old this month, actually, in October.
Happy birthday!
Thank you very much. We're very, very. We've been celebrating all month. But yeah, so we're the innovation and entrepreneurial hub, and we provide lots of activities, lots of programs, platforms for people to upskill, to reskill, and develop themselves, essentially, to set up, if they're interested in setting up a business. We've got lots of programs for setting up a business. If you're interested in learning the skills to be an entrepreneur or innovative, like within your own company already, lots of programs around that as well. And of course, we run lots of events to inspire and excite people, to get them kind of like excited about from an innovative and entrepreneurial perspective.
And you have some things which are live at the moment.
We have lots of, as I said, we've got lots of different programs. Really,
masterclasses I was looking at.
No, you heard about the masterclasses. So yes, we've been very lucky with the Human Capital Initiative. So Trinity was the most successful in terms of funding from the Human Capital Initiative. It received 21 million from the program. And in Trinity, Tangent...
Whose program is that?
The HEA. It's a government-funded program, and it's essentially to ensure that third-level institutions become more reactive to the needs of industry, but also make the institutions themselves more innovative, right? So we've been within Trinity. Tangent is a kind of like a separate unit. So we're independent of all schools. Innovation and entrepreneurship is for everybody. It's not just for business students. It's not just for engineering people. It's for everybody, essentially, right? So the Human Capital Initiative has allowed us to develop a suite of programs for industry, all around creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship. We've got a couple of masterclasses starting on early November, so the 3rd and the 11th of November, I believe. So the first one will be storytelling for business. So how to tell an effective story about your product or service, for example, right? And then the second one we have going is an introduction to design thinking. So design thinking is a whole methodology around innovation and entrepreneurship. It's a process to kind of like identify opportunities, how to understand maybe what problem you're solving, look at maybe prototyping that idea, and then releasing it into the market, essentially. And it's an iterative process.
And how long do those masterclasses last?
2 hours. So
you're just done. You're finished in 2 hours.
You're finished in 2 hours. So they're the introduction. So it's kind of like the first steps into kind of like, it's like maybe there's people in employment out there. Maybe there's somebody who's really interested in innovation, really interested in setting up their own company. These are introductions, they're tasters, essentially, into kind of like, it's like the first steps in taking that journey.
And I saw something which we love here. I believe that they're free.
Oh, they're absolutely free. So
they're called sponsored or something. Is that what they are? Or you use some nice word?
So, well, the HCI program allow us to provide these for free, essentially. So we're paid to deliver these courses. We've obviously we've committed to the HEA, to the government, that we're going to have a certain amount of participants on these courses. And the whole idea is to empower and to inspire people to take that journey into setting up my own company, or I've got a new product or a service that I want to. Imagine if you're sitting in an organization and you want to have the language of innovation, you want to have the ability to translate an idea, right? You want to translate an idea into impact. So that's what Tangent does. And these masterclasses, these tasters will facilitate or give you the kind of like the basics, if you want, the first steps into kind of like taking that idea and turning it into impact. And then those first steps, obviously, we've got a suite of programs that are available for people.
So you're trying to get them addicted. That's really what you're trying to do, isn't it? So I do my 2-hour masterclass. Yep. And then how do I continue the journey, as you call it?
So, and the journey of the ideas is this is what we base. If you come into the Tangent building, you'll see the journey of the idea everywhere. So we have lots of different programs, right? So say for example, you recognize that you may not have the skills or the confidence, and confidence is a massive thing here as well. You may not have the skills or confidence to set up your own business. You might be missing kind of like marketing capability or problem definition or all these different things that we teach. We run many Springboard funded courses, for example. So we are recruiting for a creative and cultural entrepreneurship program at the moment.
Who would sign up for that, or who should sign up for that?
So it's a really popular cohort or course at the moment. We're looking at the creative and cultural sector. So COVID has had a massive impact on the creative and cultural sector. And what we've seen is people kind of like, okay, they have ideas for their own business, but creative and cultural people, I don't want to make a blanket statement, tend not to have the business acumen to run a business, right? So maybe they want to set up their own company, set up their own business. So anybody in the creative and cultural sector that wants to set up a company, or maybe they're in the creative and cultural sector already and want to kind of like be more innovative within their organization, people in that sector will join this to understand, okay, the steps necessary to set up a business.
And your introduction, your tasters are free. Does it remain free all the way through?
So our Springboard courses, yes. If you're interested, go to springboards.ie or type in Google Tangent Trinity's Ideas Workspace and you'll find more information for. We're recruiting for creative and cultural entrepreneurship at the moment. That will be based in Dublin and in Galway. So we're really proud of this fact. Tangent is the unit that brought Trinity out of Dublin in 429 years.
And we had you on about 4 weeks ago saying the same, and it's fantastic. You're in Wexford, Athlone, Galway, isn't that it?
So Wexford, Athlone and Galway, this iteration, yes. And
will you go elsewhere afterwards?
In Wexford and Athlone, I'll explain actually our strategy around that in a sec. But in Wexford and Athlone, we're running programs in innovation and enterprise development. So again, it's not specific to the creative and cultural sector, and we run kind of like programs in different sectors, looking through different lenses like food and drink, through disruptive technologies. But we also have kind of like the vanilla, if you want, the kind of like, okay, well, I have an idea and I work in whatever it might be. We'll equip you with the skills and give you an education around that. And if you're in employment, you get a 90% discount from Springboard. So it costs about €300. If you're not in employment and you're on some type of benefits, it's for free. So it's a Trinity education, heavily discounted and accessible for everybody all around the country.
And you have a lovely program called WOW.
Women Who Wow, indeed. This is a program that's been funded by Bank of Ireland. But hang on a second
now, you better tell me what WOW is. I know what WOW is.
So WOW is our Women Who Wow program. It's a program that's funded by our sponsor, our main sponsor, Bank of Ireland. And I guess the concept behind our Women Who Wow program is, as Julie Cinnamon, the ex-CEO of Enterprise Ireland, used to say, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And this is part of our ecosystem development and what we want to do in Tangent. We want to demonstrate, or we want to bring in senior female leaders in organisations from around Ireland, and they mentor female students in Trinity, just to kind of like say, it's like okay, I've achieved the highest I can go, and they'll take a student under their wing and they'll mentor that student. So that program has been a mainstay for us for 3 or 4 years now, and it's been a really successful program. We do lots of kind of like mentoring programs. And
that is so important. I mean, everybody who comes on here says, oh, well, I had a mentor who said such and such and just changed my life. I know that Paula Fitzsimons obviously is a huge proponent, and she brings women mentors in as well. And Bríd O'Donoghue we had, she's the former Pennies director, and she also mentors as well. It's fantastic.
That's great to hear. And, we're looking for female mentors always as well. We're always looking for mentors, actually, but female mentors at the moment. Our program will start soon enough. So we are recruiting. We have a steadfast supply of female leaders. We're always looking for new people and new blood to come in and help us.
As we are for interviews on this podcast, because we have set ourselves that agenda of having gender balance as well. I have a question, which I wonder, will you answer? I was going to say honestly, of course you'll be answering honestly, but you do not have the academic background. In other words, you're clean of that. But the academics in Trinity, do they kind of look at you as being second-class citizens because you use the dirty word of kind of being business-minded or education towards business, whereas maybe others would prefer education for education's sake?
So that's a really good question, because I guess if you look at even where we're based, right? So I'll start at kind of like our physical building. So we are co-located with the business school in Trinity. So it's a brand new building. It opened 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Designed by Scott Talon Walker, isn't that right?
That's right, yeah.
Beautiful building.
Really,
Absolutely
really beautiful.
building, yeah.
Eco has all the eco credentials. It's a stunning building. But if you look at even the where Tangent is based, so it was always said for years, for the past 100 years, that Trinity had turned its back on Pearse Street, right? That there was no access point onto Pearse Street. So the first time in 100 years, the first access point into a building now is into this new business school. Tangent is on the first floor of the new business school. And the whole, I guess, premise and idea behind Tangent is that we're outwardly looking. So we welcome in the outside world. We welcome in the problems and challenges of the world, as well as the people who want to develop themselves, set up new companies, set up startups. And we're leveraging the 429-year pedigree of a research-driven institution. So we are that kind of like that bridge between tradition and problems.
Did you practice that in front of a mirror? That's very impressive.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's like in the very from the concept of Tangent. That was the whole.
Nice. Yeah.
That was the whole premise. As I said, we work with industries. We work with companies of all shapes and sizes. We work with individuals, and then we work with students, of course. And the whole idea is we are applied. So if you do a course in Tangent, you're not going to sit down and sit behind an exam and write down on a piece of paper. It's all about solving real world problems. So all the courses that I talked about earlier on, if you do a course in Tangent, you will work on a real world problem. And say, for example, in our regional courses, we work with regional companies. So they'll give us their problems. We're kind of like, it's like they love to see us because we'll be like, we say to them, give us your problems. And then we get students to work on, and the learners, the lifelong learners, to work on real world problems. And just to give you kind of like a sample of that, for example, the average age on our postgraduate courses is between the ages of 45 and 50. 66% are female. So you see a lot of people kind of like coming kind of like to a place in their career where they're kind of like, it's like, oh, I'm interested in, I have the ability to, I have great ideas for a business, or I have great ideas for innovation, but I don't have the skills to do it. So participating in one of these courses gives you the skills. But what I said at the beginning, it's more importantly, nearly for me, is the confidence. So we don't have exams. You will work on a real world program, and you will be put up in front of all your classmates and the company you're solving problems for, and you have to pitch your idea. So it's people are brought out of their kind of like their comfort zones in a very, very safe way. So it can feel a little bit intimidating, but it's a very safe space, and you have to pitch your idea using the kind of like the frameworks that we teach on the course. So
that all sounds very inviting. One thing you didn't answer, mind you, is what about these academics who think that you're horrible because you're driven by money or commerce or filthy lucre?
So really nice demonstration of maybe. What we're really proud of in Tangent is the fact that we set up we ran the first climate entrepreneurship course in Ireland, first postgraduate climate entrepreneurship course last year, and we partnered with the School of Natural Science in Trinity. So we're partnering with them, and now we've just completed our intake of healthcare innovation, so a postgraduate certificate in healthcare innovation, and it's partnering with the School of Medicine as well. So they might look at us, some of them might look at us in maybe not the most flattering ways, but actually we're making inroads, and that's a really important thing because educational institutions are traditionally kind of like very siloed places, and breaking into Trinity, I've been there for 2.5 years, has been an interesting journey, let's say. But I guess when you look at the world and the way the world is moving, the future of jobs, the future of work, like innovation and entrepreneurship, that mentality is absolutely required, not just for setting up a company, but also it makes you more employable. If you're able to kind of like, hey, I have an idea, but you're able to kind of like, here's the business plan behind the idea. I'm able to pitch it. I'm able to tell you the story. Makes a more compelling kind of like employee within an organization as well.
That pitch is very compelling, I have to say. It sounds absolutely excellent. So those people who would love to get involved where and how and when, because there are deadlines, as you mentioned.
So so my first recommendation would follow us on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're on Instagram for the younger generation. We have open days. You'll find out information about our open evenings and information dissemination if you want. We do have a website, obviously, so tcd.ie/tangent. You'll find all the information there. And just one thing that I want to kind of like iterate as well, it's not all about just our educational courses. We do have incubation and acceleration programs as well. So if you come to Tangent and you have an idea for a business, but you don't have skills, you can participate in an education course. we also have 5 different accelerators that we're running in the next year that you can potentially get funding for. You can get access to an incredible network, not just here in Trinity, in Dublin, in Ireland, but we partner with universities across Europe.
And you connect with alumni from Trinity all over the world, isn't that right?
We're connected to alumni with Trinity all over the world. We're also part of what's called the EIT KICs, so the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, and the KIC is a knowledge information community. It's a mouthful, but what this is a connection into universities and countries all around Europe. So we're running, for example, a climate entrepreneurial accelerator at the moment. We've got 15 companies, 10 from Europe, around Europe, and 5 from Ireland participating on this accelerator. I'm really happy to announce this hasn't been announced in Trinity yet, so it's a first. We've just received a substantial amount of funding from Europe for the next 3 years, and we'll have opportunities for 35 companies from all around Europe to participate in those on that accelerator until 2024. So you'll see a lot of, and that's around climate and sustainability. So you'll see a lot of kind of like climate and sustainability, fresh ideas, new startups coming from Tangent. And you don't need to be part of Trinity to participate in these, by the way.
This is open.
So go to our website. It's rolling intake. We will be recruiting soon startups for our artificial intelligence accelerator around December time. So we had the first iteration of that accelerator earlier this year. Second iteration now happens, will begin in January. So there's always, whether it's education courses, whether it's engagement activities, if you want to be inspired and excited to hear about past pupils, or if you want to incubate or accelerate an idea, take it to kind of like the next level.
And not a bad place to base your startup company.
I know, it's to be honest with you, you're right in the centre of where it's happening.
Fantastic.
I did see over the weekend one of our student companies, Bounce Insights, Garrett Lamb from Facebook invested in them. So we're really, really
happy days.
Happy days. Really happy to see kind of like the enterprise community.
I think we should have them onto That Great Business Show. Come here to me, Ken. I wonder, were you told, one of the things that we ask on this podcast is, who would you hire in a heartbeat? Were you told that you're going to be asked that question?
Who would I hire in a heartbeat? Ooh.
Anybody at all, man, woman, child.
I guess in my previous world, I was the chief technologist in IDA Ireland once upon a time, so I got to meet a lot of kind of really heavy hitters. The one person that I met that I know you've had in here is Alan Betchner from Altala.
Yeah.
Alan has done more for Ireland and artificial intelligence in terms of promoting artificial intelligence from a national perspective, helping set up the masters, increasing brand awareness from an Irish perspective as well. So we partner already. I haven't hired him, but I'd hire him in a second.
And they have just announced a massive expansion, haven't they? Didn't they? They've raised a ton of money, or they're going to raise a ton of money.
Yeah, no, they announced it about a month ago. They raised, I think, $11 or $12 million, and they're I did meet with them about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Alan and Niamh, I know Niamh was in here as well.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's dizzying the speeds that they're moving at, but they're opening offices all around the world at the moment, and they are great to have as partners. They're recognised as one of the best companies in Ireland for AI, and having them as partners on our for our accelerators is incredible.
And you were telling me off air that people are coming to you looking to hire people from you. Do you want to hear more from people, or do you have a ready supply of brilliant people?
So, I have to be careful around this one because we're not technically a recruitment agency. But so next week we're going to have massive news. We're going to launch. I won't get into too many details because it'll be big news. But we've got a new platform. I'll give you a little taster, make it a little bit exciting. We've got a new platform that we'll be launching next week. We've got senior people from Bank of Ireland coming in. It's going to be the first in Ireland of its type. And if anybody wants to set up a company, if they're interested in setting up a company, if they're interested in being part of a company, now it'll be internally in Trinity first, but you can come in through Tangent if you're interested. So it's the first digital platform, essentially creating a community around startups, around idea sharing, and yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I'm going to leave it there. I'll say too much and I'll get in trouble with my colleagues.
Ken Finnegan, who is CEO of TCD Tangent and a wonderful salesman. He could hire you as a salesman. That was fantastic. Thanks, Ken, so much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
This viscosity. When you shave, you want the highest viscosity because it helps the blade run smoother. De facto, the world's best shaving oil, has incredible viscosity. That's why De facto leaves your face, underarms, or legs nick-free. Higher viscosity makes blades last longer. De facto is the best for your skin and your pocket. defactoshave.com.
Everyday accounting can be a bit of a drama for SMEs. However, BigRedCloud.com takes the drama away with its simple and easy to use cloud-based accounting and payroll software designed for SME owners. Raise and send invoices, manage VAT reports and obligations, run management reports, link directly to Irish banks, automatically import purchase invoices, and so much more. All with 5-star customer support. BigRedCloud.com, 100% Irish owned and a proud member of Team GBS.
You're listening to That Great Business Show. ThatGreatBusinessShow.com.
One of my many, many pipe dreams is to invent a game like Monopoly that made an unemployed American salesman called Charles Darrow into a millionaire back during the Great Depression. Now, having just come through the financial crash and then the great COVID shutdown, this may have been the motivation for two primary school teachers, James Fallon and Anna Byrne, to create a GAA-based board game that they're hoping will be a huge winner with kids this Christmas. But what you're about to learn is just how many bumps there are in the road to create something that might seem so simple. James Fallon, Anna Byrne, welcome to That Great Business Show.
Delighted to be here. Thank you.
You sound like a choir there, the two of you together. Bumps along the road. You're going to tell me about the 2 years, I think.
It's a 2-year journey, yes.
And it was fun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. We had a bit of fun along the way, but yeah, we had some bumps in the road, but yeah, it was very enjoyable so far.
Well, now, come on. Tell us about these bumps. Where did the idea come from? And I know both of you are very keen on Gaelic games.
That's right. Myself and James would have played with our clubs for over a decade before injury stopped one of us and laziness stopped the other person, I think, there. But when we just observed, I think the students were both primary school teachers, and we observed students at break time on wet breaks when they were stuck inside that they loved board games, they loved GAA, they loved Gaelic games, and we kind of put 2 and 2 together, and we said, why not try and create something completely new?
Now, let me ask you the obvious. Why not put it onto an app or onto their phones or...
Well, that was one of the things that drew us to the board game was that we, and the age group that we're teaching, it's fairly clear how many hours to spend on screen time outside of school. So we're hoping to develop something that...
Are the screens banned in school?
It varies from school to school. But
in your schools?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah?
In our
okay.
schools, yeah.
So therefore, you decided this was a good way of... getting them, not having to teach them or something. Is that it?
Yeah, it's good for I suppose, their interpersonal skills that parents are quite keen to have them away from screens and kind of chatting with one another. We thought it'd be a great family game as well. Who'd be the best Bonner store out there? Who's the next Mickey Hart? So
because that is the name of the game. You like that, the name of the game? Bonner Store, manage your county to All Ireland glory. I'm holding it here, and I see it's sponsored here by O'Neill's.
That's correct. Yeah, we were very fortunate. I think James made contact with O'Neill's, and they're very open to the idea of working or collaborating with us on the project on Bonner Store. And like that.
Are you now going to mention Bonner Store 10 times? Is it?
And it makes it stand out on the shelf, we think, anyway, that when you see that the Gaelic football, the stadium, and you see the kind of O'Neill's, the brand that's synonymous with Gaelic games, that it kind of makes it stand out on the shelf.
And gives it credibility.
That's it.
Who wants to give me literally a 20-second, 30-second explanation as how the game works?
Yeah, I live it. It's so you're taking the role of a Gaelic Games intercounty manager.
No pressure.
No pressure. Yeah.
Can you get bumped off by other committee members? And are there payments under the counter?
There are actually similar payments. There are payments in this game. It's a little. We've added a new feature in that it's there's a transfer chest. So I know there's a unique Gaelic Games transfer chest. So kids can buy their own players from different counties to improve their squad. So you spend the first part, there's pre-match and match day. So pre-match is where the children will have to build up their finances, manage their budget as they're moving around the board. And obviously the more money they collect or earn on the way, the more power they have in the transfer chest. When they're happy with their team, then they go and they face each other off in a head-to-head trading card style battle. And we've taken a few elements of different, I suppose, classic board games gameplay. So you have your going around the board earning and losing money. You've Jeopardy cards, and then you have your traditional head-to-head trading game, because we see it in school. Kids love that and love knocking each other off the perch with a stronger scale or something like that. So that's kind of, we put all those elements together and put together this. But the thing about, I suppose, but from the feedback from the kids so far, they love the transfer system, and so it's something very unique and original for them. And and it just makes it an extra challenge of being the bonus store.
Now, that does, in your description there, sound very straightforward. It sounds like Monopoly meets Risk or something like that. And I would have thought, because it's a simple idea, it's a lovely idea, that it would have been dead simple to make this. Now, we love warts and all here. Who wants to start talking warts here?
And I suppose when we first got together, warts and all was like, I think it was the Angler's Rest in Headford with a table full of pages and the paper names all out on the table, and people in the place looking at us with two heads saying, what are those lads at there over there? But the whole process has been an extreme learning curve for ourselves. We've been asking a lot of questions. We're getting it made here in Ireland with Cart Monday, and one of them,
formerly Hasbro. People will know it as Hasbro,
yeah.
Because I think Hasbro do actually make Monopoly. I think, I think they've only sold 500 million of those.
Yeah, I think that's all. Yeah,
bonus store is next. Then.
So that's fantastic. How did you? Well, let's start at the very beginning, because otherwise we'll go all over the place as usual with me. You're down in Headford in the Angler's Rest, a fine place, I'm sure. Now, you had an issue because you wanted to put in what we'll call real players.
That's correct. But
somebody owns the names.
That's correct. We didn't want to impinge on any rights or get ourselves into any hassle.
Because that costs money.
That's another reason.
And you found out that you couldn't choose your famous player, and you couldn't use his. It's all male, is it? So far?
No. No. We actually ran. What we did was we ran a competition for...
No, we'll get to that, because I thought that was a clever solution to a problem. You were not allowed to use named players' names.
That is correct, yeah.
And it would be fair to say that the GAA wanted to keep everything to themselves. Understandably, they own the game, so they weren't playing ball.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I suppose for our game, we needed 146 players. So again, we for the game, we would have needed 146 inter-county players to sign off on their naming rights. So
that's 100,000 each.
Yeah, that was a challenge straight away. And as you said, we met with GA, and again, as supportive as they were, there was a cost involved in getting the logos, and the more we looked into it, it became a bit prohibitive for us. And so with all that, we leaned towards O'Neill's, because we just wanted to avoid being just a generic game, or to look at, we wanted something to make it authentic and make it, for kids to recognise it as the GAA game without using the GAA logo and without the Gaelic players' names. So we kind of turned it into an opportunity. Then we saw
I like this now. This is nice.
Where that was one of the first major bumps where we thought, what could we do for it? The game is based on the players, and so we had no players. So we opened up an online competition just back in May, as we launched our website, and we asked or invited children from the 32 counties to enter with just their name and the county they would like to represent in the game, and their favourite position. And so it could be attacker, defender, midfielder. And we got hundreds and hundreds of applicants or entries into the competition, and suddenly then we had our bank of players. We had new squads, and we
had a simple idea. I love it. So they've already bought into the game, if you like, and I presume their families have bought in, because they're now going to see Eileen E. Kelleher or Jim Smith or whatever.
Yeah. That's it, yeah. So now they're in their first edition. We have 146 children from across the 32 counties representing their county. And so in the pre-orders, it's very interesting to see in the pre-orders we had so far, we have almost 146 children have ordered the game. So they were very excited, I'm sure, now next few weeks to get this game and see it.
So that was bump number one, solution number one. What was bump number two?
I suppose the next one was working with Carton Monday, we always felt we're a bit, I don't know, small fry or very small in the production process. And we're up against, as you mentioned, the likes of Monopoly and these games. So it's kind of, I suppose, getting recognised first of all and being they've been taken seriously, I suppose, was their first challenge. Yeah. So again, like that was just persistence that we kept on coming back. It wasn't, the first few times we contacted the factory and we were talking in hundreds and maybe 500, maybe 1,000 games, and we didn't have much, at that time we didn't have much backing. O'Neill's weren't on board, but I suppose every time we came back to them with a bit more progress made and we a bit more, especially when O'Neill's came on board, it was huge for us as well. And
who contacted O'Neill's?
I did,
James
actually.
Yeah.
And the response obviously was positive.
Very positive, yeah. I suppose they saw it as a product that's going to be, being played by Gaelic games supporting families this Christmas. So they saw it as a win-win situation for everyone. So yeah, they were great and they came on board and helped us so far. So that was what the challenge with the main thing was getting, I suppose, as I said, being taken seriously at the beginning.
But because of the order size, because Carton Monday, I think, can produce all of your requirements in, how long would it take them?
Oh, well, I think the boards and cards could be printed in less than an hour. So it's
in a world-sized company, an hour doesn't really cut it.
Yeah. So it was like that. And I suppose when we got set up as a customer with Carton Monday, and then again that just then things took off and we got a momentum then. But that was, I suppose, they were our two main challenges starting off originally. Yeah.
So distribution, who will distribute it for you?
The game's going to be stocked in Smith's, Toy Masters, Art and Hobby.
Who made those contacts for you?
I think there's a mix of the
But
two.
I mean, is it all knocking on doors? Because you do, as I mentioned, you have a day job as well. You're meant to be teaching our children.
I think we're lucky insofar as the hours that we work and the fact that we're off in the summertime in those 2 months gave us great time.
Okay.
And like at Easter.
That's why you always want longer and longer holidays.
That's it. We get greedy, yeah. But like you said, it's just persistence. As James mentioned with Carton Monday, it's just when they know that you really want something and when you know that you put in a huge amount of effort and when they saw the design and the graphics that are on the board and we sent the game to Smiths, for example, to play. So when they played it and they wanted to order the game, it was a great boost for us, not only just to have Smiths on board, but it was actual affirmation that the game itself was a good game as well, Now,
I know, and maybe I'm not meant to know, how many or what order you've put in. That's going to be sold out way before Christmas. Can you reorder if the demand is there? Because I'm also maybe not meant to know, but there's a very, very, very good likelihood that you may be going on to a very famous toy show.
Well, we're hoping to anyway. We're hoping. So as I said, we'll be dropping in our game into the Ortiz Studios very soon. But but I suppose that was another challenge in what number to start off with. I mean, you could go
with a lot of boxes.
Yeah. So that was.
But I mean, you've already sold effectively. Say the kids' minimum order is 146 plus. You're going to sell out.
We weren't sure. I think we nearly took for granted initially that it would be made within a certain time frame. And when you're talking about the challenges and the bumps along the road, a major bump has been the scenario in the world at present and COVID at present and the raw materials for these games at present. And even if it is 45 minutes of a production line of a game,
make it an hour.
It sounds better than an hour, yeah. I think Carton Monday have bumped hundreds of thousands of games to back months and months. So where we thought it might have been 8 weeks, that was then 12 and then 16. So there was a worry for a time. We weren't sure, would we reach the Christmas market? So it was
welcome
a delicate
to business.
Exactly. Yeah. It was, again, that learning curve of taking a risk and measuring, is the risk worthwhile? So,
but you haven't actually answered my question about we'll change that. When it sells out, can you go for a second run? Or should anybody who wants to buy Banish Store, will I say that again? Banish Store, the fabulous Gaelic Games game, is that if you want to buy it, that you should buy it immediately because it won't be around.
I was going to say, I think for the Christmas market, I think we'll only have the one edition for the Christmas market be, and it's like that. What was an 8-week turnaround for production? I mean, we've got assurances that they'll try their best, but we can't guarantee that it'll be out in time, especially this time of the year.
I always ask this because it must be my evil or criminal mind, but if I decided, Conal O'Moran decided to go off and make another Bannister 2, the sequel, can I rob your idea?
The evil version. Yeah.
Well, we've actually been very lucky in that sense. We've been working with Shane Smith at F.R. Kelly solicitor, and they've been
very, very well known IP solicitors.
And he had and I have to say, he was one of the first people who came on board with us very early on, and he was super. And he, like, some of the ridiculous names we were putting to Shane, and he didn't knock back any of them. He researched every name that we put to him, and we had every sort of title for the game. So yeah, he very early on he set us up with the name Bannister and assured us that we were fine to go with that. And even that, things like that, because it's so new to everyone, myself and Anna, that knowing that you had that security that the game was now trademarked, the name of the game was trademarked, and then the next thing was design protection. So we sent the plans of the game and how the game is played to Shane, and like that, came back in a few weeks and he'd secured design protection on it. Yeah, and I can just give you a bit of peace of mind. Then we knew we had our name and we had our gameplay, and it was ours to just go in and produce it. That's a small matter then.
Well, like people have been really good to us as well. It's very important to mention that. Initially, as we were starting off with the idea, I would have went to the LEO in Galway for a bit of mentoring, and like Jill Holtz, I think who's on your show recently, she was actually my mentor, so I got a great kick out of hearing that. But she gave us great advice initially, and then James Barrett and LEO Mead gave us more additional expertise. So
the Leos are the go-to. Go to them. I'm just telling you. Go to your local enterprise office. Full stop. Sorry, please continue.
No, that's true though. Like again, two novices to business. We don't know. It's important for us, I think, to be inquisitive. I think when we were it's like with Bridge O'Donoghue, who I think was on the show, and her retail expert. She was saying, be inquisitive, try, ask people questions, and like that. That's what we did throughout the whole process. Cartamundi, even though, as we said before, I think we asked them numerous questions as well throughout the whole process, getting clarity and assurances on size of board to fit the box and everything else. So
now be careful how you answer this next question, because your superiors may be listening. I presume that the teaching careers are looking a little bit less likely, and you want to become real entrepreneurs and go global. I mean, first of all, there could be a global business in Bannister, but I presume you have other ideas. We had Susan Spence, the sponsor of, who's from Softco, sponsor of the Ireland hockey team. Would you like to have a women's hockey version of it, for example? I'm sure Susan would love to sponsor that.
Well, that's the thing. The gameplay does transfer over to any sport, really. And I suppose, through Shane, we have a design protection on the game. So it's kind of it protects the gameplay, which kind of affords us then the opportunity to look at different sports, and like there's plenty of opportunity. I know Ian has already looked at cricket and rugby as well. So I think I suppose it's a lovely way to start off with the GA. We're very familiar with the game itself and the market, and we just feel like it's a good opportunity to learn from this and then see where it takes us then afterwards. But no, I'll see out the year teaching anyway, Conal.
I'll see out the years.
Years.
You'll probably claim all your holidays as well.
Yeah, I'll be on holidays next summer, don't worry.
I'll give you one piece of advice. If you become serious entrepreneurs, there ain't no such thing as a holiday. But there is a possibility of going worldwide, is there?
I think so. Like with Bannister, again, we're getting orders on our website, like bannisterboardgame.ie already from like the UK and from.
You're very good at this one. The way you just drops it in. Remind me again of that website.
bannisterboardgame.ie.
Oh, that's it. bannisterboardgame.ie.
Yeah.
I should have looked that one up.
Yeah. So, but we have got orders in already from the diaspora that are, I suppose, is probably relations of people that are in the game. But like that's what we want, because the GA and Gaelic Games is very much a community-based organisation that we would hope that if you find yourself within the club, word will spread, and that's our aim and ambition, for it to spread it within the Gaelic Games world around the world, So,
and as you say, it is right around the world. Okay, guys. I mean, you put it out there. I believe it's called Bannister, and you'll see it on Bannister Games boardgame.ie. But you also mentioned Smiths, and Smiths are vast. In fact, I'd love to have Smiths on the show if the Smiths are listening. So if you're talking to Smiths, say, please come on to the show. I'd love to chat to them. And they are of a huge extension of their arms or their fingers into the UK as well. And of course, there's a big GA diaspora there as well. So sounds like good. Am I allowed to tell people how many games that there are so that they'll understand? There are only 3,000 being made. So get your mitts on them ASAP. My kids are well grown up now, but I remember standing in queues during Christmas and the last Barbie doll or the last whatever Pokemon was taken off the shelf in front of me. And oh my God, I know that feeling, the pit of your stomach. It's called Bannister. Manage your county to all Ireland glory. One of you is from Mayo. Am I right?
Yeah, living in Mayo, yeah.
Yeah. How are you going to handle that? Manage your county to all Ireland glory.
Yeah, well,
might be the only. And I won't even go there. Okay. Listen, James Fallon, Aina Byrne of Bannister, thank you so much for joining us on That Great Business Show.
Thanks for having us.
And that is it from That Great Business Show, episode 59. Lining out for Team GBS today were on sound, Rob Curry. Team captain here at the Dublin Podcast Studios is Peter Rice. My thanks to Aileen Gaskin and Robin Keelahan at the Communications Clinic for offering us Peter Stringer. Hazel Davis at Tangent keeps us up to date at what's happening there. And the ever-helpful Tom Murphy, founder of De Facto and our number one supporter, suggested we should talk to Anna and James. We at Team GBS want to produce more world-class podcasts for others, like we do for those that love Irish food brands. Get in touch for more information, and of course, That Great Business Show is easily the most cost-effective way of telling Irish SMEs about your products and services. Contact us for our advertising rates. And finally, my thanks to our sponsor, DeFactoShave.com, the world's best shaving oil. Try it for just a week, and like me, you will be a forever convert. So from me, Conal O'Moran, until the next time, slán.